There are nights when your body feels tired, but sleep still refuses to come. Not because the world around you is loud, but because something inside you never becomes quiet. A thought pulls you backward. Another pulls you forward. Regret, pressure, fear, expectation. And somewhere in the middle of all that noise, you slowly lose the feeling of being at peace with yourself. Most people never say this out loud. They say they are stressed, busy, overwhelmed. But the deeper truth is harder to explain. It feels like your mind has become a place you can no longer rest inside. Even during silence, something keeps moving, something keeps tightening, something keeps fighting. And the exhausting part is not always life itself. Sometimes, the exhaustion comes from carrying a mind that never stops resisting everything, like a river trying to fight its own current. The more you force yourself to control every thought, every emotion, every uncertainty, the more turbulent the water becomes. So you distract yourself. You scroll. You overthink. You stay busy. You search for comfort in small things that briefly quiet the storm. But deep down, you can still feel it. That quiet inner restlessness, that strange loneliness that appears even when nothing is wrong. And after a while, you begin to wonder if peace is something other people know how to find, but you somehow lost along the way. Maybe that is why your mind feels so heavy lately. Not because you are weak, not because you are failing, but because you have been fighting yourself for too long. And perhaps the real change begins the moment you stop trying to silence the storm and start understanding why it never leaves. After a while, the mind becomes so loud that you forget what silence used to feel like. Not external silence, inner silence. The kind where your chest is not tight for no reason, where your thoughts are not pulling you in 10 different directions at once, where you can sit alone with yourself without needing distraction to escape what is waiting there. But most people never realize how deeply exhausted they truly are, because the exhaustion does not always appear dramatically. Sometimes it hides inside small moments. Checking your phone without thinking, replaying conversations long after they ended, feeling restless in quiet rooms, struggling to stay present even with the people you love, lying in bed at night while your mind keeps moving, as if something inside you refuses to let go. And slowly, you begin living in reaction instead of awareness. Life starts happening too fast. Your emotions pull you like waves in a storm. One moment hope, another moment fear, then pressure, then comparison, then emptiness again. The mind keeps changing shape so quickly that eventually you no longer know which thoughts are truly yours. And that is where the deeper suffering begins. Not when painful thoughts appear, but when you start believing every thought deserves your obedience. A fear appears, and your body tightens. A memory appears, and your peace disappears with it. An emotion rises, and suddenly it becomes your entire identity. Without realizing it, you spend years fighting invisible battles inside yourself, trying to control every feeling, trying to silence uncertainty, trying to become emotionally untouchable, trying to force the river to stop moving. But rivers were never meant to become still by force. The harder you fight the current, the more exhausted you become. And maybe that is why nothing truly calms the mind for long, because distraction is not peace. Comfort is not peace. Avoidance is not peace. They only quiet the surface for a moment while the storm continues underneath. That is why, even after moments of pleasure, something still feels unresolved inside you. A strange emotional hunger, as if the mind is constantly searching for one more thing to finally feel safe. One more achievement, one more reassurance, one more distraction, one more escape from itself. But the search never ends, because the mind fighting itself can never fully rest. And perhaps this is the quiet truth most people spend their whole lives avoiding. You are not only tired from what happened to you, you are tired from constantly resisting what is happening inside you. Resisting uncertainty, resisting discomfort, resisting emotions, resisting silence, resisting the present moment itself. The The storm becomes frightening because every wave feels personal. Every anxious thought feels like truth. Every emotional shift feels permanent. Every moment of discomfort feels dangerous. But thoughts move the same way storms move across water. They arrive. They change shape. They disappear. Yet when you cling to them, the mind turns temporary weather into permanent suffering. And this is where something inside you slowly begins to soften. Not through force, not through perfect discipline, not through controlling every thought, but through seeing clearly for the first time. Seeing that awareness itself is untouched by the storm. Beneath all the noise, there is still something inside you quietly observing. Something that notices the fear, notices the overthinking, notices the sadness, notices the restlessness. And the part of you that notices the storm is not the storm itself. That realization changes something subtle but profound. Because if thoughts can be observed, then maybe they are not who you are. Maybe the anxious voice is not your identity. Maybe fear is not your nature. Maybe emotional chaos is not your true self. Maybe you have simply spent too many years mistaking passing waves for the entire river. And for the first time in a long time, the mind begins loosening its grip. You stop chasing every thought the moment it appears. You stop reacting to every emotion as if it defines you. You stop needing certainty in order to breathe peacefully. The storm may still exist. Life may still remain unpredictable. There will still be moments of sadness, confusion, discomfort. But something important begins changing inside you. You no longer abandon yourself every time the waters become rough. Instead of fighting the river, you begin learning how to move with it, slowly, gently, one breath at a time. And in that quiet acceptance, something the mind has searched for everywhere finally begins to return. Not control, not perfection, but peace. And maybe, for the first time in a very long time, you do not need to solve your entire life tonight. You do not need to force the water to become perfectly still. You do not need to win against every thought that passes through your mind. The river was never asking you to control it, only to stop fighting its movement so fiercely. And perhaps that is what peace has quietly been trying to teach you all along. Not the absence of storms, but the ability to remain with yourself while they pass. So now, just breathe for a moment, slowly, gently. Notice the space between one thought and the next. Notice how awareness is still here, even when the mind becomes noisy. The storm may continue to move sometimes. Certain nights may still feel heavy. Certain emotions may still return like familiar waves, but they no longer have to pull you away from yourself, because little by little, you are learning something the exhausted mind often forgets. You can feel deeply without becoming lost inside what you feel. You can experience uncertainty without surrendering your peace to it. You can let thoughts pass through you, the same way rain passes across a river, arriving, softening, leaving. And beneath all of it, the river continues flowing quietly towards stillness. Maybe that stillness was never far away. Maybe it was simply buried beneath years of resistance, years of noise, years of trying to become someone strong enough to never feel pain again. But peace was never hiding in perfection. It was waiting underneath the struggle, inside the gentle moment when you finally stop running from your own mind. So tonight, if your heart feels a little quieter now, if something inside you softened, even slightly, perhaps a part of you is finally remembering what it feels like to come home to yourself. And as you rest here for this small, silent moment, allow the breath to move naturally. Allow the mind to loosen gently, and let the river carry you forward without resistance.